Hey, what's up, my friend? How are you doing?
Hey man, I'm fine. Yeah, that's life's going on, and there's always complications, but I'm feeling good.
Well, man, don't, I always say, you know, it's not as bad as it is. Yes, it could be stressful personally, professionally, and things that, go in and drip into our life, but hang in there, right? And talk and communicate with the people that care about you, people that, that want to see you succeed, but also don't cheat your people, your friends, your coworkers. If you're going through stuff, communicate it as well. And if they don't listen or respect it without, after you share with them, shame on them. But if you don't communicate that, guess what? They're going to just assume, just like I would, that, hey, this person is not doing work or not doing anything. And you're just being, holding stuff in. So you have to communicate it. Even if you're not a good communicator, you just got to say something. Otherwise, you're going to make yourself look bad in the end. But I'm glad to see you. I
Thanks,
think
man.
there's things that I wanted to cover with you today that, you know, whether you're in a corporate environment or ownership startup, there's always communication, right? There's things where, one of the businesses, that I'm advising with, invested in, right? There's a communication breakdown. A lot of things that happen that people don't understand that is going on is, there's this thing that's a classic case of like syndrome where, there's founder syndrome where it's a colliding with burnout and communication breakdown, right? Some of those things are really true and they are real, right? There's things to where there's a stress testing of leadership, right? Why some founders, crack, there's the focuses on psychology. We all have it of the owners. It's not an excuse for the behavior of people, but an autopsy of how stress turns visionary into a villain. You know what I mean? And I think like the thing that I want to share with you and people is there's this myth of like being a brilliant jerk, why founders think they're being stressed justifies being abusive verbally, right? There's no justification for that, right? Like there ain't no brilliant jerk. That's not right. And then there's the emotional intelligence that a lot of people think they have or do have, and they don't know how to manage it. How a lack of soft skills in leadership skills, stalls progress in businesses, right? Again, whether that's building teams or technically or whatever. And then the cost of bad language, right? There's bad language that calculating literally the financial cost of, say, potential developer turnover or turnover in sales or any turnover in teams, and that which then lowers the velocity due to fear, right? So it's horrible, and I know you've seen it, you've gone through it, you're living that, and those are things that I want you to know or want to get your insight on this because have you observed that? Have you lived that? Because, well, I don't want it to just come from me, but what have you been seeing on your end with stuff you're working on, whether it's a day job, your thing you own or whatnot?
Yeah, my goal is emotional stability. Only that way, so I can function. Yeah, anything that disables me, even like nice conversation, this is like counterproductive. Just be real to yourself, and when you have like no time or you need time for yourself, it is better to say and communicate to others than be silent. Yeah, because when you're silent, what should people think about you? Why he is not communicating? Why he is not there for me? Is he not interested anymore about his what he's doing? Is he unstable? Is he reliable? What's going on? People ask themselves what is going on, and this you have to avoid, man. This is very, very important to say to others, hey, I'm feeling not good. Hey, I need a day off, or whatever kind of reason you have. Please tell everybody, and you can fix then anything. I think nobody will be mad at you when you have like problems, but there's always times in life it's hard, yeah. But there will always come days it's getting better, and work is like a good, yeah. It is you can distract yourself, and you can also have personal conversations with your colleagues, and you feel better after. You have to think about this.
Yeah. And I think, the sharing and talking to people is somewhat therapeutic. People may have fears of not wanting to share, some of the thoughts they're thinking. I mean, some people might want to harm themselves. Some people have fear that they're going to be looked down upon or frowned upon. Some people may just be like, oh, I'm going to stay quiet because I'm going to play it safe. The point that people should ask themselves, is what I'm doing or not doing going to hurt me long term? If you own a business, right, it's results driven. You have to do something to create something, make something that is going to happen. Because if you're as an owner, you don't have your daily paycheck from a day job to fall back on. You don't have human resources to protect you if you are doing something mess up or not communicating well. There's not a get well plan, right? With ownership, you have to be very communicative, even if you don't want to. That's what it takes. If you don't have it, then don't do it. And you also have to be able to understand that what you don't do hurts not just yourself, but your team. Again, communication, doing work, people that you're working with, if you're not giving them something, you can't just go silent. You're going to have to go explain that to other teammates of yours so they can help you and back you up. You got to ask for the help. And if you're doing things where your day job is interfering or personal life, then ask yourself, if you're not able to manage it, why did you jump in to begin with? Right? That's the
Mhm.
issue and the problem. Like, you should see this. And if you are going through it because it wasn't happening before, excuse me, then why did you jump in then? Why aren't you talking about it? Right? So that's an issue here. There's also a power vacuum, right? The bridge between the building, technologically building a team, and then, the business breaks, right? I mean, I would say, there's the manager, the bridge, which is all of us. We're all managers in some capacity with whatever we're doing. But we're also saying, like, hey, if one of us steps away, or meaning takes a break, or we notify the team, then, or went silent, which is even worse, went silent, for whatever amount of time, that leaves the other teammates exposed to one of the other teammates' own temperament. Meaning, well, is that the right way to do it? If I'm going to go quiet, that's it. That's okay. Everyone
Yeah,
else should do it. No, that's irresponsible.
no, that's true.
How could you afford to do that? That's
And if
irresponsible.
emotions come up, do not process them in real time. Instead, pause before you're replying, even it takes hours. Write the emotions response privately. Send only the practical version. If you're flooded, I need to pause this conversation and I will reply later. It's example. That's regulation, not avoidance.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. We call it the buffer role, right? Why having a middle manager or a manager in between people or groups is vital for protecting teams from founder chaos. Excuse me. The ghosting effect, right? What happens to a team morale when a primary team member or communicator of the team stops communicating for so much time, right? Isn't it on the team to go, to ask, even though maybe that person already set it up to say, hey, this, but if someone's going to ghost people, they have to already assume or communicate to people that's not how you do business. Again, why are you doing this? You're wasting everyone's time. Excuse me. Rebuilding the bridge. How to reestablish trust after one of the team members fails to advocate for their team. There's a
Silence
lot
is
of people
also
that are not.
communication. If it's communicated, if there is no practical reason to talk, silence is not punishment. Silence is not immunitary. Silence is space, and space is what allows clarity to return. But you have to return then and also communicate that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And advocacy, right? How to handle abusive stakeholders, right? And it's like, people are, whether it's teammates or people we're paying or whatever it is, receiving on the end of bad language or poor communication. It's horrible, right? Always got to set professional boundaries, right? How to say, I cannot process your feedback right now when it's delivered with insults, right? Those are
Right.
things to say things properly, right? Documentation as defense, which is always key. As you heard me say this to everybody, especially when I talk to my clients, document everything, right? Moving away from verbal outbursts and insisting on written requirements or documentation to reduce the friction. Write it down, right? And then there's the walkaway point, right? Identifying when a startup's culture, new business has become toxic beyond repair. Obviously, not one person could screw it up unless that one person owns the whole thing. But when you have people who are doing it, cut the bait, you cut loose. if that person has been talked to many times, carried, you know, they're just going to keep bringing it down, regardless of their personal. It's not that we don't have empathy or sympathy, but are we supposed to have empathy and sympathy for 5, 6, 7 years or months? No, then you never get anything done. That's not fair to the team who's taking time away from their families, who's taking time away from their lives, their kids, and other stuff they want to do when they want to keep continuing to babysit somebody. You don't do that, right? And then I would say there's a survival guide to this, to rescuing the culture, right? I mean, redemptions is always a good topic for owners who look to pivot the company's culture before everyone quits. No one's quitting in a lot of businesses, but sometimes when people don't talk and they're afraid, you know, what kind of culture is that when people should be able to talk? That's the stuff I like to always push with the people and businesses we invest on, like communicate. And if you're not communicating, it's not the owners and it's the people that are actually doing the work that don't want to communicate because either no one's that busy, even though we're all busy, you can make time for 10 seconds. Hell, you can even have Chat GPT write a letter for you or a paragraph or a sentence to say how you're too busy if you really are that busy. You know, so that's embarrassing. And then there's, you know, yeah, and there's radical candor, radical rudeness, right? Teaching owners how to be direct without being disrespectful, right? That's key. And then crisis management. I love crisis management stuff because it's always tough, you know, but crisis management for morale, right? And there's steps that you could take when the team is ready to walk out to or quit if it's one person in doing this, but everyone always has to understand, is it worth it? But you have to eliminate the issue or solve for it. And if that person or group of people are not wanting to participate or help out, then they should walk, they should go, right? And then feedback loops. People need to have a safe space to be able to tell each other, hey, your behavior is slowing us down, right? Why are people afraid to say that? You know, that's the thing. And that to me is like really critical, you know what I mean, Rolando? Because a lot of people have fear. And if you're fearing this and you're not communicating, then you're doing a disjustice to everybody, you know, and you know, you've gone through it, I've gone through it. There's people going through it now in businesses that I've advised or am invested in. But the point is we set the precedent for communication, right? If you're not communicating, you're failing. And even if you think your shit doesn't stink and you're too good for everybody, what gives you the right to go dark? What gives you the right to think, oh, I don't have to communicate this, I'm just fed up with it. But then there's no passing off the baton. Like, can you do this? I can't deal with it. Why is that not being discussed in a lot of different people or a lot of different companies, even corporate,
It's
right?
fear. It's
There's a
fear.
process.
We have so much fear that they are not worth it to be seen anymore or whatever. I don't know.
Also, people
Fear.
have, and but here's the thing, people, it's justified to say that people are going through stuff personally. But if you are going through stuff personally, walk away or take a break, take time off. And if you've been taking a time and break the last year and you're just holding on because you want to be a part of something, if it takes off, that ain't fair either. And it is up to the other team members to address this based on effort that that one person or group of people, again, he or she are doing or not doing, because it impacts business, morale, trust, confidence. But you got to cut that piece of liability out if it's not changing. And some people hold on to it long because they're friends. Some people hold on to long because they feel like they owe people something. No, you don't. No one owes anyone anything. Only thing you owe is what you promise you're going to do. And there's no excuses. Stop making excuses. You
Yeah,
know,
and
but
the
if
others
you
have
are,
to do your work, and they're getting mad about you, and the circle is getting more and more worse if you doing less because everybody's getting more mad at you. So please communicate and tell everybody how you feel when you're not feeling good and then come back stronger. It's better than doing nothing, yeah, and getting the situation more worse. And this only because of not communicating. This will never work out. Even when you're going to holidays, please communicate it. And when it takes 1 or 2 days longer, it doesn't matter. But then you have to come back and make some space for the work. And even if it's only 1 hour, do your shit, do it focused, and then you feel better, and then it's much more effort for everybody. and then it's not done. Then you have to make time more. You have to do like 3, 4 hours, and you have to push your energy back and bring the yeah the time that you was missing, bring it back, and then everybody will see that and it is motivated again. It's like a circle. You turn the circle in another direction.
Yeah. And in closing, and what you said was great, right? We have to have reality checks, right? There's things like, as business owners, our code isn't just like, hey, I'm the most important person in the room. The culture is culture. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if your stress, makes you the loudest and most disrespectful, your best talent will eventually find a quieter room to work in. So don't let your inability to manage your own pressure become the reason your vision fails. Lead with the same precision you expect in your work ethic, clean, intentional, and functional, right? And be a visionary, right? You want to inspire people, right? Like, we often start companies, because we want to build something better than that existed and honestly before, right? And better isn't just about the software or product or whatnot. It's about the environment, right? When you stop communicating and start reacting, you lose the trust that fuels innovation. And remember, for the folks listening, your team doesn't just work for your company, they work for each other, not just for you either, right? Give them a leadership, give them inspiration worth the long hours that they'll give you back in return, and then help change the world, right? That's it, right? So anyway, I appreciate you joining.
Never
You
give
know,
up.
never give up, my friend.
Sentence. It's
That's
it's
the
the
point.
same in sports. It's like the same in sports. Never give up. Only so you can be successful. Never give up, guys.
Never give up.
Never give up.
Hey, my friend, great to see you. Thank you for the time.
Hey,
Lots of love
thanks,
always,
man.
and
Love your
enjoy
words, man.
everything
It's
up
good
there,
to
and
hear. Yeah.
stay
Thank you,
strong
man.
over there in Europe.
Hey.
Okay.